am finished painting the different values of blue on my background, I'm ready to start adding some details to my painting, some different animals and maybe even some trees, since the theme of this year's holiday card contest is animals in winter. Before I draw my animals on my paper, I'm gonna take a moment to practice drawing them on a dry erase board. This way I can erase really easily, I can figure out how I want to draw my animal, and then when I'm ready and I'm happy with the animal that's on the board, I can draw it again on my paper. So at your table, you're gonna have a few different images of different animals. These are called silhouettes, which means that the whole animal is colored in black. So you can choose whichever animal you want. I'm gonna do penguins for my artwork. So I would look at the artwork and then I'm gonna practice drawing it on my dry erase board. It doesn't have to look exactly like this. I can make it look a little bit more simple. So I could just do one line for the back, and then I've got the wing and a belly and some feet and the belly. I'm ready to draw another wing, and then I can go back up and draw the beak. And the nice thing about practicing with the dry erase board is I can do things like notice like, oh, that wing was a little too long, I could erase that. Or, oh, maybe I want my beak to be a little shorter. I could erase the beak and I could draw it again, however I want to try it out. So I didn't have to copy this picture exactly. I just used that to get an idea of the sort of shapes I could draw to make my penguin. Once I'm happy with the kind of penguin that I'm drawing, or whatever animal you choose, you don't have to draw a penguin, you could choose something different, then I can switch over to my artwork. And I'm gonna start off with a pencil. I'm gonna wanna press down really lightly with my pencil. Since I already drew a big penguin, maybe the next penguin I draw is gonna be kind of small. And since I want it to look like he's on the snow, I'm gonna draw him on the white part of my painting. I'm looking at my picture that I drew on the dry erase board, and then I'm just drawing it onto the white part of my painting. Once you're happy with all of your pencil designs, you can go ahead and get a Sharpie. And the first step, and this is really important, the first step is to trace the outline of your pencil drawings. When you color it in, it's gonna look a lot neater if you traced it first. So I'm gonna trace the outline first, and then I'm gonna color it in, but I'm not gonna color it in like this, where there's white spaces, right? I'm gonna take my time and I'm gonna really color in every single spot so that that entire penguin is completely black. If you have a marker that's running out of ink, like if it looks more gray than black, go ahead and give it to your teacher and she'll switch it out for a fresh marker. Because for this project, we want to make sure that our markers are nice and juicy. Okay, so I've got my little baby penguin. If I wanted to add trees, I could add trees. If I wanted to add a different animal, maybe I want to draw a penguin and a rabbit, I could also draw a little rabbit with pencil first and then trace it with Sharpie. I want to show you a trick, an easy trick for drawing trees. You can draw trees like this, where it's just a triangle on top of a little skinny rectangle. Or if you want to make it a little bit different, you can draw a big triangle and then on top of it, not with the bottom of the triangle touching the point, but draw your bottom of your triangle kind of across the top right there, and then you can do a new triangle on top. So they're overlapping. I've got one triangle on top of another triangle. I've got my big triangle on the bottom and a small triangle on top of the big triangle. And then I'm gonna do the same thing I did with the penguin. I would trace that line first. So I'm gonna draw on top of my pencil lines with Sharpie. And then I'm gonna very carefully color it in completely solid. I'm taking my time. I'm not just going like this, because then I can still see through to the paint. I want to color it in completely solid so I can get some contrast. That way my drawing is going to show up and people are going to notice it because it's so different from the painted part. All right, once you're done coloring in all of your details on your artwork, you're going to wait until you get called to the splatter paint station, and you're going to do the splatter paint step. We're going to try and create the effect of snow all over the top of our painting. This is the fun part. I can't wait to show you. When you get called to the splatter paint station, there's going to be a cup of white paint and a big paintbrush. And what you're going to do is you're going to dip your paintbrush into the white paint and leave it nice and drippy. Don't scrape it off on the sides. This is the one time that we want our paintbrush dripping with paint. And then you're going to hold your finger, and this part is important. You're going to gently tap the paintbrush onto your finger. When we tap it onto the paper very, very gently, we get these little tiny dots that look like snow. Let me show you what would happen if we hit it hard. Let me show you what not to do. So if you hit it hard like that, you're gonna get a big splotch or a line, and it's not gonna really look like snow, right? So what we wanna do is hit it very, very softly so that we can get those little tiny circles, those little tiny droplets that look like snow. I want you to make sure that you get your splatter paint all over the paper, right? So the parts to focus on, the parts that we usually forget, are the edges and the corners. So I'm going to make sure I get the top corners really well. I'm getting the edges. And once I see that I have splatter paint all over my paper, I'm double checking. I've got it in the corners, I've got it on the edges. Then I am finished. I'm going to put my brush down on the table, and you can give your painting to your teacher and she will put it up in the drying rack.